What is the real overarching problem in completions in oil and gas? Let's just start here. Back up. For oil and gas companies, where is the most room for the biggest improvement to save the most money and change their quarterly reports in the biggest way so that they can show the biggest improvement in efficiency and draw the most money to their bottom line? In completions. We all know that. Drilling is a small portion of the cost of completions, and it's much more automated. Production, putting the well online, that's minimal cost compared to this, and again, more automated. Fracking a well is still the most manual, arduous, expensive problem that operators face today, and most of that is in operational efficiency on the surface. But the real single biggest problem is that the frac location has evolved from a single well frac to a multi-well frac, and you have 5 or 6 different companies out there that all have different systems, different levels of automation, and their digital systems all have different formats and different methods for gathering data. So you have this massively expensive, complex operation happening, and you have these 5 or 6 companies out there all doing a different part of it, and none of them communicate. None of them are actually digitally linked and using the same database so that you have one common timestamp, one workflow with all the company's raw data in there so that you're getting a perspective of the operation. What it is right now is 6 different companies, let's just use that number, 6 different companies, all capturing their own timestamps. So you end up with different databases on location. Frac has a database, wireline, coil, and then the oil company has a database. This is where most of the money is lost because that method doesn't work at all. Garbage in, garbage out is a term that's used in software. The problem is that we have those different databases that don't communicate. So first of all, they're all different formats. That's a nightmare to start with. The next problem is that within those companies, a lot of those timestamps are manually captured by humans. What industry in the world still does that? You can't capture timestamps. First of all, it's really low resolution. It's super error prone and it can't be trusted. So anytime someone does that and records that, it's going to turn into a discussion or a negotiation when you compare those timestamps to the ones that the oil company recorded or the wireline company recorded. It just creates all this. And then after you've gathered it that way, the garbage in, garbage out scenario happens where we don't have anything that's correlated. None of it's formatted. So once we start moving it around, and it's a lot of data that moves a lot of different places to the oil company, to the databases, to the analytics platforms, it requires manual movement and it's super low resolution, low productivity, hard to understand what's going on with a complete picture, right? And so this is the biggest problem with completions today. This is the exact problem that Cold Bore with its SmartPad has solved. We looked at this, the completions location, and found this to be the biggest opportunity. 5 years ago, we started developing. Now we have deployed with a lot of the mid-size and major operators in the US and Canada, our SmartPad, which is a universal operating system, right? We digitize frac trees. It captures the workflow from the frac tree. Our algorithm tracks the workflow on the frac trees. So it says this was on frac, wireline, coil, pump down, so on and so forth. There's a common timestamp. That's a data set that never existed before. That no one's captured that data from there before, and it makes total sense. That's the heart of the operation. Grab the workflow from there. The important part about this is that's independent of everybody else's information, which can be biased and or cause negotiation or conflict. So then you take all of the other information that's independently gathered, frac, coil, wireline, pump down, you hardline it into an edge server, and then you organize it, you align it into that workflow that came off the frac trees. That's it. Now you look at this as a universally accessible database that includes all the information from the whole location. And all the information is automatically formatted. Any human can look at this and they say, what happened on this second of this day? And you go look through the dashboards, it'll tell you the frac, what happened with frac, what happened with coil, what happened with wireline. But more importantly, computers can go look at that data. We can move all that data automatically throughout the system now. Because it's formatted, it's clean, and it's organized via timestamp of what actually happened. We move it to well view, open well, whatever. So we have solved the biggest problem in completions by dropping off a universal operating system in the middle of this kind of like anarchy and giving the power to just open a laptop, see frac, coil, wireline, pump down screens that look the same every time, that produce a formatted database that's the same format every time, and everyone on location can log in through a permission-based system and use it. So frac and wireline and coil and the operator and everybody are communicating on a unified database. There's only one. This solves so many problems. Reducing infrastructure all the way to contracts become way more easy to negotiate. Performance-based contracts down to the minute become a realistic expectation. And we can derive massive efficiency gains from very high resolution analysis of this data because we can trust it. We know for a fact that's actually what happened on location every second. So let's start asking the system to tell us, pull out all these lost minutes, pull out NPT, pull out this. We can analyze it, make changes to the procedure that we're actually doing, and then reanalyze it because we have a very accurate system that's capturing it the same every time. This is translating to hundreds of thousands of dollars in just invisible lost time improvement, more stages per day, and that's not even counting the reduction in infrastructure and then the move to full automation. This is the way the industry is going. It no longer makes sense for the operators to work with service companies that want to develop their own stuff in-house that is proprietary, because that typically has been the way the service companies go, well, look, I have this thing that's so great. That's my competitive advantage. That competitive advantage produces this environment that's a win-lose. Typically in the past, with oil and gas and service companies, operators and service companies, if efficiency is gained by one of them, it's a lose for the other one. It's like, oh, well, we found a way to figure out what you're doing wrong, or we found a way to do this. And so service companies developing stuff in-house to give them a competitive advantage or a slightly better product is a lose for the operator, because the operator then has to have multiple people trained inside their company how to use that, what happens here. And if we do a different pad with a different company, we have a different data set, we have a different database. These two aren't going to communicate, aren't going to correlate. I can't analyze both. They're different companies. That's gone. Now, with Colbor's universal platform in place, high resolution data the same no matter what companies are out there. The benefit now, the competitive advantage for the service companies is the first ones that we're working with that are getting on SmartPad. We're starting to give them the insights of their data now, which is all they ever had, but their data with everything else. So it's in the context of the operation. How did their data affect everything else? What was the butterfly effect? So we can provide that data and those insights back to the service companies. The service companies can analyze them and then go to the operator and say, hey, this is where we can improve your operation vastly and very accurately. We could have picked up 3 minutes here, 17 here. Let's change this hard line. Let's go to this, because if we compare that pad to this pad, we were running the mono line. That is the service company's new competitive advantage. Operators shouldn't have to look at our data as service companies, try to analyze a bunch of different data sets and figure out how it all goes together, find the inefficiencies, and then run around with a sharp stick, right? As service companies, we want access to our data, but in the context and correlated with everyone else's data so we can understand how that affected the operation as a whole. Then we go to the operator and provide our service, being, here is how you can improve your operation. So our approach with the Universal Operating System is to provide full transparency for everybody on location and create a win-win situation where now we're all working together. And when we're working together, we drive efficiency through the roof, right? When we're trying to protect something or hide something because we know they're going to do the same thing, we slow everything down and it costs way more money. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.